Tan, the fruit nerd is here, and we're going to be talking about a very interesting vegetable today. What is this?
Justine, this is a baby bitter melon. Now, I've brought this straight from the market. I love bitter melon. So I'm going to make a classic French omelette, but with bitter melon.
Love this.
Shall we get started?
Yes, please.
All right. Could you crack some of those eggs
I
and
can.
whisk them, please?
Yes.
So with this bitter melon, I'm going to cut it in half, like vertically. And what you're going to see is there are some seeds. And those seeds, I'm going to remove them.
And is that because that is the most bitter part of it?
It is quite bitter, and it's actually a bit more coarse, a bit more hard. So if you remove it, you get the nice tenderness of the flesh.
Yep.
So we want to cook it down to remove the harshness and get some of the more complex flavours.
So I said vegetable before. This is a fruit.
It actually is a fruit. There are seeds. So let's get into it. So what I'm going to do with this bitter melon is actually just slice it very finely, because the thicker you cut it, the longer you're going to have to cook it. And this omelette is going to be cooked very fast. So literally only, 1 millimetre segments.
And we've got a small bitter melon here, but you can see how big they get. And the bigger they get, the more bitter, or not really?
Right. So the reason why I love these small bitter melons is because when you do eat the smaller bitter melon, that one in particular, you get the instant bitter flavour, but then it goes away, right? But with those, the bitterness stays in your mouth. So I think that this is a much more welcoming bitter flavour for those who haven't had bitter melon often. Now, the one that is a bit more white is the one that you see in Vietnam, which is the one that my parents cook with. So we usually gut it, put meat in and put it in a soup or put it in an omelette.
Yes.
And these two are more native to India.
Fantastic. It's so interesting for me to see an unknown fruit or vegetable being used. And this is usually used in a savoury context.
Correct. Yes, correct. Yeah.
Yes.
So, all right. So whisk those 3 eggs up. Put some salt in, probably about, be generous. Oh, yeah, that's good. About 1 teaspoon.
Yep.
So Justine, in the pan, we're going to put some vegetable oil in.
Okay.
We don't use olive oil in Vietnam, so I'm making a dish that you can commonly get on the streets of Vietnam.
Okay.
Which is an omelette in a banh mi.
Oh, yes. You know the way to my heart. I love banh mi.
So we're going to put the bitter melon in. So basically, we want the bitter melon to shallow fry for about 30 seconds to a minute. Now, I'm going to use chopsticks to cook because that's how they do it in Vietnam.
Did you want the shallot now?
Yes, let's put the shallots in. So, the bitter melon has started to shrivel up a little bit, so it's nice and cooked, and the shallots, you can really smell that aroma. Now, we're going to put the egg in, and we've got to be really quick with this one because it's the classic French omelette.
Yes.
So, basically, going to go left and right, let that cook a little bit. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that the bitter melon is all over the egg.
Yep.
So not just concentrated in one spot. Right, now you can see that there's still a little bit of wet egg yolk on the top, but it's pretty much done.
Yes, it keeps cooking too.
It does. The residual heat does cook it.
Yeah.
So if your chopstick skills aren't as flash, you can just use, a spatula or a fork. Now, we are pretty much done. Could you cut that banh mi for me in half? And we're going to put that in.
Banh mi in half. Oh, I mean, is there anything better than this style of bread? Crispy on the outside, so fluffy in the centre.
All right. So in Vietnam, they will literally cook you the egg in about a minute when you're waiting on the street, and then they're going to pop it upside down like that. Check that out.
Oh, that looks so good, Tan.
In the French style of cooking, you want to get that Maillard effect, which is the browning of the butter, and so we definitely wanted to brown that a little bit.
Yes.
Now, that's cooked really well. Thank you for slicing up the cucumbers. So
Pleasure.
we want a bit of that freshness, bit of coriander, and if you'd like, some soy sauce.
Of course,
and we're pretty much done. And this is the breakfast of champions for the Vietnamese community. But in Vietnam, they do like a sunny side up, but I've created you a classic French omelette with bitter melon. So Justine, shall we try it?
Absolutely.
You do the honours.
Half each. I want to cut down because I want everyone to see this gorgeous egg.
And now, if you can't find banh mi or this style of bread at home, you can just get any bread that's crispy on the outside, like a baguette.
It's got to be crispy on the outside, right? And I love how we can see the bitter melon in the centre. One for you.
I've basically replaced the classic chives for bitter melon.
Yes, smells fantastic. It's so good. Like you said, creamy egg, then all of a sudden a pop of bitterness, but a nice bitterness. It's not like, oh, something's weird in that. It's not a bad thing. It actually makes you want to go in for that second bite. Delicious. Thank you, Tan.
No worries.